Year 7 Macbeth, Wednesday, which means it's the day where we ask you to send some work in to us for marking. It's a creative writing task. You're particularly good at this, and so enjoy it. And remember that all writing is creative writing when you think of it, that way. Um, Last time we met Macbeth, he was given 3 further prophecies by the witches. But what is a prophecy? Well, remember, it's a look into the future, it's a forecast, it's a prediction of what's to come. Remember? And how is Macbeth feeling then, following the latest 3 prophecies, as told by the witches? You'll remember the first apparition, an armed head, told Macbeth to beware Macduff. The thing of five, the second told him that no man of woman born can harm him. The third prophecy told him that no man of woman born, basically no man born from a woman can harm him. Third prophecy said that Macbeth can't be harmed, he's safe until a wood travels to a hill. How can that possibly happen? Macbeth scoffs. Burnham Wood needs to travel to Dunsinane Hill in order for Macbeth to be harmed. Understandably, Macbeth is feeling invincible after these 3 prophecies, perhaps apart from the Macduff one. But what is invincible? Remember, it means all-powerful, the feeling that nothing can harm you. No man of woman born shall harm Macbeth then. Why does that lead to him feeling invincible? I've hinted at the answer about a minute ago, so just rewind the video if you have forgotten or can't figure it out. No man of woman born shall harm Macbeth. Why does that lead Macbeth to feel invincible? On the same theme, how is invincibility linked to hubris? Remember, hubris is that sense of overconfidence, the idea that if you follow your heart rather than the gods, you are being reckless. It's a reckless overconfidence. So today you're writing Macbeth's diary, imagining you are Macbeth, having seen the witches for the second time. Write a diary entry from Macbeth's point of view about events in the scene. Now, tips for when you're writing, please use a range of vocabulary. What is a range of vocabulary? Well, avoid repetition. Try and use sophisticated words rather than simple words. Don't repeat don't begin paragraphs with the same words each time. Mix things up and use a level of language that suits a diary, for example. It's going to be quite an intimate conversational tone. Arrange your sentence structures. Use simple, complex, and compound sentences. What's a simple sentence? Well, it just gives you one piece of information. I like pizza. What's a compound sentence? It joins 2 simple sentences together using the word and. For example, I like pizza and I like tomatoes. What's a complex sentence? This is the most sophisticated of the 3. It involves making more than one point in the same sentence. For instance, I like pizza, tomatoes. No, I like pizza. Yeah, I like pizza and tomatoes, but hate anchovies, perhaps. So it's 3 bits of information there using a complex sentence. Of course, accurate spelling. Let's get into the habit of spelling things accurately, because you later on in school start to lose points, actually, if you make spelling mistakes. And accurate punctuation. So I have tried to use exclamation marks, question marks, brackets, dashes. The more those sorts of symbols you use, again, the more points you score. So what's Macbeth thinking, feeling? That's all you need to remember, really. You are him. What's he thinking after his encounter with the witches? Here is a model I made. earlier. Based on this text, actually, which you have already, it's just a little excerpt of it, just to give you an impression of what the apparitions look like. The first one is an armed head. That means a head with armor, not head with arms. The second apparition on this further down is a bloody child, and I tried to use some of the texts in my diary. So, did I? I'm feeling invincible. Why was I ever afraid? Decided to use a rhetorical question from on the first line to show my examiner that I could use them, and that I could use question marks as well. It was a stormy night, and I decided to visit the witches again. Every time I meet those midnight hags, it seems to be raining. I put that section in brackets because it isn't essential to the text. It just adds more detail. I've called them midnight hags because Macbeth is quite insulting towards these poor women. He calls them hags. He calls them weird sisters. I think in this text, he calls them thou unknown power at the third line from the top. Thou unknown power. Later on, I call them wraiths, which means a sort of a wraith is a sort of demon or ghoul. Having seen Banquo's ghost at supper, I was keen to find out what lay ahead for me. After stirring some appalling ingredients in their rusty old cauldron, the wretched women presented me with 3 apparitions. Why have I started that sentence with after stirring some appalling ingredients? Well, that is what's called a subordinate clause. Let's go back. I think they've asked you to use subordinate clauses somewhere. Where is it? Try starting sentences in different ways, for example, with subordinate clauses. Subordinate clause gives you extra information, but it cannot exist as a sentence in its own right. For instance, look at that second block of white. After stirring some appalling ingredients in a rusty old cauldron, if I added a full stop there, it would not make sense as a sentence. Therefore, it's a subordinate clause. It supports the main clause, which is, the wretched women presented me with 3 apparitions. The first is an armed head. That's a head with armor, not a head with arms and hands. I've had a dash and some brackets, just to show I can. And you should, because you should show that you can as well. It told me to look out. Oh dear, it told me, it should say. I lose points for bad spelling. It told me to look out for Macduff. Immediately, subordinate clause there, immediately, comma, I turned to summon the murderers. It's said that it's more elegant to begin your sentences with subordinate clauses sometimes, so I've gone for immediately, comma, I turned to summon the murderers. It would be less sophisticated to say, I turned to summon the murderers immediately. But then the wraiths, again some insulting language, but then the wraiths cooked up a second apparition. Okay, so over to you. I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun doing this. There are 3 apparitions. How does he feel after each one? Finally, how does Macbeth's feeling of invincibility compare with how he felt on the night of the murder of King Duncan? Remember, this is the night where Lady Macbeth was the one directing her husband. But how does this feeling of invincibility compare with how he felt then? Okay, enjoy Year 7, and we'll talk again soon.